Welcome, swooper friends. That sounded so bad. Welcome,
Was so
swooper friends, to another tantalizing episode of Moisture Farm, where we're experts at making things nice and wet, one vaporator at a time. Dial in those vapor spires and let's get into it. But first, a message from our sponsor. And this week's sponsor is very special. You're my only hope, because desperation is a game plan. From Star Wars Unlimited, down to your last card, outgunned, outnumbered, and emotionally compromised? Perfect. Time to play You're My Only Hope, the card that screams, this was never plan A or B or C, but we're doing it anyway. Dig through your deck like a space raccoon. Find that unit, the one who might actually save your sorry ass. Cue the dramatic lighting and violins. It's comeback time, baby. Whether it's a rebel leader, a Jedi with good hair, or just someone with a pulse, hope is one card away from flipping the script. Perfect for underdogs, desperados, and people who watched A New Hope once and never emotionally recovered. Not responsible for tears, cheers, or sudden shifts in game momentum, you're my only hope, now in Star Wars Unlimited, because sometimes the Force isn't strong, but the drama sure is.
I love that card in my Yoda Jedi deck. That's all I'm gonna say. I love that card in that deck.
It is awesome. And what are we talking about today, fellas? Today we are going to be talking about whether this is a good time to get into the game of Star Wars Unlimited. Um, we're going to talk about uh, what the things, the advice that we would give people who are interested in getting into the game, what uh, what we would do, um, what we do at our FLGS to help people start, and then in general, how do people start hobbies? Um, Word salad for today. I apologize. And then something I wanted to talk about toward the end, we're going to talk about um, bad habits when teaching people new games because I have a few, and I'm going to out myself on the podcast because that's interesting to me. Anyway, that was
You're
a
gay?
waffly mess. But first, Robert, how have you been?
It has been 3 weeks since I played Star Wars Unlimited. 2 weeks were because Trish work and traveling, and then last week I was really sick, and my sickness culminated in all sorts of nonsense and grossness on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But I'm feeling much better now. Go, modern medicine and antibiotics. So that's how I've been.
Excellent.
Um, you know, keeping on. I'm not dead yet. I know. Maybe next time with the iocane powder, buddy.
You seemed like you were trying.
Tried.
Weren't you?
I tried real hard,
How many
real hard.
how many days were you sick?
Um, I want to say I woke up last Monday with a really bad sore throat, and I was like, "Fuck, I've got strep throat." And I just decided to muscle through it because I don't have any sick time or vacation time left at work. And so that's why we canceled the podcast last week. I told you guys I just wasn't up for it. Um, so no, like 8 days and Sunday, Monday was the absolute worst. I don't know if anyone here has ever actually been delirious in like the definition of it, but because my temperature was so high, my highest was 104.6, and it stayed that way for like over 12 hours.
Wow.
And and I was dehydrated, and the fever broke and then it spiked back up to over 104 again. So due to this combination of factors, I actually was clinically delirious. And it's really weird because I was aware of it at the time. I'm like, oh, this is what's happening to me. But my thoughts were very unorganized and it was weird shit. Like I spent 5 hours at Kaiser on Monday, and when I got home, I'm laying in bed trying to sleep and I couldn't figure out how to go to sleep. Like just the thought of what do I need to do to go to sleep? What are the parts of that? How does that work? Wait, how do you sleep? Like,
Oh my goodness.
I laid there for 2 hours trying to figure out how to go the fuck to sleep.
Wow.
Your brain is literally cooking at that temperature. Like that's why you get delirium. Like you're just cooking your brain. It's
Yeah.
like those old like this is your brain on
Brain on
drugs.
drugs. Yeah.
Yep,
Go
yep.
go 90s
Except
drug
your
ad.
brain is just the one in the frying pan, quite literally.
Um, so no, I mean, combine that with dehydration, which can also make you delirious. Basically, it's like having, heat exhaustion and heat stroke.
Mm.
Um, and there were other weird thoughts in there too. Um, was 0 out of 10, do not recommend. Go to the doctor early, kids. Don't be like me.
Healthcare practitioners are the worst patients. Just saying.
Absolutely.
Just saying.
Yeah, yeah.
About you, Tangent, how have you been?
It's been a couple weeks. I did get to go play 40K. I have not played Star Wars in several weeks. We've discussed that previously. There's just nowhere for me around to really play. I have to go down an hour at least to be able to play, and the play groups are not on great days for me. So. My local shop plays 40K. I got to go play Emperor's Children, which is the newly released army for 40K, and I've been really enjoying a little bit of hedonism, a little bit of excess. I've got a snaky boy coming, and a guy with a really cool sword and a really cool whip coming.
Ooh,
And
tell me more.
oh yeah, I've got Lucius and Fulgrim coming. And I mean, it's Emperor's Children. They're going to be coming. Don't you worry none. So really looking forward to painting them up and getting them on the table. There's some really just gorgeous models. But yeah, gotten to play, done some painting, and that's pretty much it. I don't get out too much. I tend to work a lot, and I work from home, so I don't get out. This is my space.
All right.
Your turn.
So, what have I been up to? We been busy with jujitsu. Gideon suffered a small neck injury, nothing serious. So we're taking this week off to heal and stretch and ice and heat, things like that. Uh, Went to Easter camp up in the mountain over the Rogue River and down in Southern Oregon. That was incredible. The weather was perfect, and it was just everyone was beautiful and fun, and got to play some card games with family. Got to meet my new nephew and a pair of twin girls. It was really exciting, and it was a beautiful opportunity to turn my phone off for 2 days. So I had zero screen time for 2 days in the mountain, breathing mountain air and cutting wood and then burning that wood and sitting around a fire and drinking beers and eating food, hunting mushrooms, and then soaking them and frying them in butter and batter. Ugh. And then we brought some morels home. Leah cut them up and put them into a curry. It was so good. Oh my God.
Fungus grows on your toes, man. You're not supposed to eat it.
And
Oh.
between your legs. Don't forget between your legs.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
No, you can keep the fungus, dude.
uh,
Everything else sounds amazing.
don't get me started on fungus. Okay, not that I know a lot about fungus. It's more of what I believe about fungus. Like that's where we're all headed, brother. You're a part of the mycelium network. You son of a bitch. You're on borrowed time.
My ashes are going in the sea, just saying. Like,
You're still part of the ecosystem, and there's fungus in the sea, silly. Anyway, I'm doing good. I'm tired. I have been playing a lot of SWU actually. I've been playing a lot online, trying to find something in the meta that's interesting to me that isn't what everyone else is playing that's strong. Um, so I've been toying around with Boba 3 and um, uh, I was doing blue and I'm not done with it, but it's just I don't know. Anyway, I'm having fun with it. I'm switching to mono red just to have fun with that for a bit. There seems to be some fun interactions. I can't seem to nail down my sideboard because I'm an indecisive person. Uh,
You're pretty.
Thanks. So let's talk about longevity is the wrong word. Let's talk about whether this is a good time to get into Star Wars Unlimited.
Emphatically, yes.
Emphatically, yes. That's a big
Next
emphatically.
question.
Say more.
Oh, I thought that was the end of the discussion. This this is a great time to get into Star Wars Unlimited. And I don't I don't say that lightly. Resources are finite. Everybody has limited resources, even my household. My limited resources, mostly time and availability. And this game is new. It's working on its second year right now, and it's working on its fifth X pack coming out in a couple months.
Yes, sir. Legends of the Force.
So, which I am super excited about that one. So that means that there's not a lot of history, there's not a lot of baggage. It's not like Magic, where if you're a brand new Magic player, you need literally a little index guide of keywords to let you know what trample and sneak and all these other goddamn words that they've added over the past 30 years actually mean and do, because you need to understand that to play the game. Um, it also means that if you are looking for a card, chances are you could find it. Most cards are like 50 cents to a dollar for even the rare ones, unless they're like super in meta. Um, so finding a card that you want or finding a deck that you want to build, very approachable, very easy at this point of the game. That may or may not always be the case, but I would say now's a really good time to jump in because everything is new and fresh. And hell, if you even wanted to go to Vegas to play in the Galactic Championship, you still have that opportunity right now on what is this, April 23rd. That's still a possibility for you. You could do that.
So I agree with everything that Robert has said.
Of course you do.
Of course I do, because Robert can say no wrong. Bullshit, bullshit. Let's just ask his wife. However, I'm going to disagree on one fundamental aspect. And I would actually encourage people to wait for the next set and see how that falls out. After the last meta, the nerf and the not nerf, the taking away Django, we're back to a meta that existed basically in the set before it. And we see a set that basically didn't matter. We're seeing a couple new cards, but not much. Like, I don't want to play a game that's going to just be stagnant for 6 months or more. And that kind of sucks. And I hope that they fix it. They've been pretty willing to step in and make changes as needed. So I have high hopes that they're going to continue doing that. But I want to make sure that when a new set comes out, it actually has meaning. And I don't know that the last set that came out had any meaning to it.
That is a valid and fair take, and that's a discussion that we've had in a couple various forms over the past 2 weeks, is how JTL didn't really do anything new for the game, it doesn't feel like. Um, One of the leaders is currently played in the meta, if I believe. It's Piet. The pilot mechanic is largely ignored, and indirect damage is a neat little toy that just boosts other abilities that were already in the game from the other sets. It's a valid criticism, absolutely.
And there's lots of denial.
Especially the person saying it's a moron.
There's a lot of denial in this game. Just outright put it back in your hand, kill it instantly, sacrifice it, dies to indirect, makes you feel sad.
So It's a very killy game. I know that we saw an article a little while ago where you can see that part of the intent of the designers was to have these cool units doing trades back and forth and have, Luke Skywalker on the board for multiple turns or whoever powerful cool unit. No, they're on the board for a turn, maybe, before they just get removed.
Because
It, it
if you're playing blue, you're holding that card. You're holding Rival's Fall. Oh, as soon as your leader's out, no thank you, because I don't want to deal with that mess, so here's my answer.
it's all or nothing. You're not swinging in to chip something down unless you're playing tokens, which nobody's playing tokens because they're bad. And if you are swinging in with to chip something down, you're throwing away things that don't matter.
Hmm.
Like, but you're still killing that unit. Like, why would I swing in with 3 units and not have it die this turn? Why would I leave it with 1 health remaining? Unless I'm playing Tarkin Town, then I'm leaving it with 3, and then I'm killing it with Tarkin Town. Like,
I
yeah,
I see your point. Um, just as a contrast to that, I have seen a large number of games online, and I've been playing a lot, maybe probably on average anywhere between 3 to 6 games a night. Like I'll just squeeze it in before bed. And part of it's reps, but part of it also is, well, I'm always learning. I'm always trying to figure out like how can I play this game. Currently, I'm looking at Petronaki. There are 60 games in progress, and I don't think I've ever waited more than a minute to find a game at any given time of the day. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at what's being played. Gar Saxon, Han, Sabine, Wat Tambor, Darth Vader, Count Dooku, um, that Jono dude, Darth Vader, Leia, Kira, Emperor Palpatine, Cad, Anakin, Piet, Cad, Han 2, Poe Dameron. So that's a lot of it, and that's just one column. So there are people who are playing who are just trying out themes, at least online. And I know you don't like the online interface. Um, I think so. To speak to that, I think one of the things that games in general, and I will say that new card games are no exception. Collectible card games specifically, if you don't have a refreshing experience with the game, it tends to draw out and be dry. So if we're talking about the meta, yes, it's that. But if we're talking about themes, you can already see the building blocks of things that are really cool, like First Order and Wookiees. And who knows, maybe we'll get Ewoks. Maybe we'll get some pod racers, right? There's a lot of opportunity for growth. And I think that's why, for me, to segue into why I think this is a good time for the game, if you can play it, the community is rich, meaning that they are just all around good people. I've yet to have a negative play experience, although I have something for later. We'll talk about that later. And all of the feel bads have just been card related. I've enjoyed every person that I've sat down to play a game against, and maybe I'm just lucky, but it seems like other people are having similar experiences, at least online, enough to the degree that they keep playing, and and a few hundred people are going to go to Vegas, and all these other PQs. So like there's people out there, and then if you go look at some of those tournament lists, yeah, in the top 30, you can kind of see the trend of what's strong. But everything beneath that is a really wide field of people fucking around, people trying new things. And maybe they just had bad matchups because there's that.
Sure.
Um, and this is a generous community of players. Like when I first started playing at the very beginning, people just were handing me commons and uncommons and promos. those little Pop-Tart packs. I was getting those left and right for no reason. Just people were like, "Here you go." I was like, "Okay, I'm down with this." Um,
Do you think that's just a Portland thing, or do you think that that's something that is prevalent across the the player base, no matter where you are, whether you're in Portland or
well,
the US or anywhere really?
um, it's taking my impressions from Facebook pages and other SWU podcasts. It seems like people are just all around good to each other and generous with their trades. I've had a couple really generous trades. Um, I don't like the dry meta, but I'm in it for the long haul. I want to see where it goes. And it's easy for me to say because I am surrounded by a community that very much loves it. And without that, then there's no game. Because if I don't have someone to play with, then I end up feeling the way that you're feeling. And that
Fair
sucks.
enough.
What else? There was something else I was going to say. Oh, because it's new, getting in it at the ground level now is very affordable. Much like you said, you can get most things for cents on the dollar or a couple dollars. And the things that are strong, well, they just are. But they're great for trades. Also, if you're one of those people who's just super casual in Twin Suns, you can take all those legendaries and take all of those hyperspace foils and sell them or trade them away. That's probably that is probably my second number one. My second reason for loving the game so much is the Twin Suns format. It is just so much fun. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Um, Robert,
Mm.
what kind of advice would you offer someone who is interested in like they're not necessarily sold on Star Wars Unlimited. They're looking for a new game. Like what would you say about Star Wars to a new person with limited time?
I would say the barrier for entry on this game is pretty low, and that cliche of easy to learn, difficult to master definitely applies. Like any hobby endeavor or anything in life, the amount of effort you put into it can very likely determine your enjoyment of a thing. If all other things are equal, like access, the amount of time you spend learning the game will greatly contribute to your enjoyment of said game. If someone was asking, like, what should I buy? I would tell them that unless they were really married to one of the characters in one of the previous starter boxes, that one of the new Spotlight decks from the JTL expansion is a really good, fun way to play the game. The Han Solo deck, Never Tell Me the Odds,
Mm.
really cute. It's all odd costed cards, and the whole deck synergizes around odd costed cards. The Boba Fett deck is really good. It's thematic for Boba Fett, it feels like, and it also works on non-combat damage, and the deck synergizes around that. I think either one of those decks would be a really good place to start, unless you're like, I love Darth Vader or I love Luke Skywalker, in which case, buy that starter set from Spark of the Rebellion.
I'll kind of go next with that one is I would agree with what kind of theme do you want to play? Star Wars definitely has a unique aspect when it comes to things like CCGs where the IP does a lot of the selling. So I like Rebels. Okay, well, is there a particular Rebel that you want to play? Or are we talking about Rebels the TV show. Okay, then we're looking at Ahsoka and Hera. Like you can gather a theme and you can actually concentrate what you want to purchase if you're going to get into the game to the set that has the majority of those cards. One of the things that PJ was saying earlier is there's packages like I like Wookiees. Okay, well you want one set that has most of the Wookiee support. I think that there's downsides there too. That has to do with the fact that once that particular theme is printed and they haven't really revisited it, that causes some issues. Like there just isn't enough Wookiee support to make it viable, for instance. But you can really decide on that kind of theme, and that's where you can direct. And it's really easy to look at collecting a particular theme, even if you're not necessarily looking at color yet or deck type, to just say, I want to play giant triangles. Okay, we know where we're going to push you towards and suggest that you look for these cards. You're going to be looking at Piet, you're going to be looking at green, you're going to be looking at probably blue or red as far as colors. You're not going to be looking at yellow as much. There's just not as many capital ships. There are, and yellow's still very good. Yellow may still be the most competitive, but if you're looking at theme, I want to be throwing triangles at your face, not the other capital ships that you're really seeing in yellow.
Yep, fair.
So, theme. Choose your theme.
I think I agree. That's precisely what I would say to someone new looking to get into SWU. I would say if you like Star Wars themes, this is your game. Because a lot of those themes, because they're pretty they're pretty distinct from the meta in many cases, right? Wookiees aren't strong, but Wookiees are fun. And putting together a Wookiee deck would be very cheap, very affordable. And I think for the health of a game, having alternate formats or at least encouraging people to play with more boundaries would actually um, encourage things to stay more fun and not always competitive. I think things should be competitive because that drives innovation and people have really great ideas and you get to see what's really strong. And it's a puzzle. And if you can crack it, then it's a lot of fun. But for casual players, this game has a lot to offer, and I think that's just going to happen at the local level. Also, um, even at big tournaments, I know for sure at the Galactic Championship, there's going to be a lot of side events, and it's going to be drafts and sealeds and Twin Suns, and I have a feeling the Twin Suns is just going to be amazing, absolutely amazing. So no matter what happens, even if you that might be the best thing about the GC. If you go to compete and for whatever reason things don't go your way, you still have all of these awesome formats and community that you get to enjoy. Um, so there's something for everyone, I think. So that I mean that's a great segue. The what are the differences between casual and competitive play?
Uh, huh. Um, my definition of competitive will be focused purely on pro-social aspects of competitive because there's plenty of people who are competitive who play in a toxic manner, and that is not an appropriate type of play, period. Um, uh, God, what's the phrase? The the point of a game is to win, the goal is to be invited to play again or something like that.
Ah, uh, the objective of the game is to win, and the purpose of the game is to be invited back to the game.
Yeah. And this applies to any game and almost any pro-social interaction. Um, Competitive means that as a player, your deck building and your play style focuses more around ensuring that you win as opposed to ensuring that you play any particular flavor or color or hero or theme or package that you yourself might find personally pleasing and aesthetically fun, right? So for me, that would be Jedi.
Mm.
All Jedi, all day, everywhere, nothing but Jedi. And that is not strong right now at all. There's not enough support for it. Uh, and so that would be me playing casually, is that Yoda deck I mentioned at the top. It's got a lot of scrying in it, and what it does is it allows me to bring out a Jedi if I do the combo right, like second turn, and I bop you in the face with a Jedi, but the thing's got no legs on it at all. And if I don't get the combo, the deck goes nowhere. But it's fun. I think it's funny, and so that's why I like to play it.
Mm.
And so casual would be like I like to play Jedi, so I just play Jedi decks.
So I'm going to agree with you, but also say that there's also a lot of mindset. So what if the meta deck was a Jedi deck? You love playing Jedi. That's what I want to play. I want to play Jedi. My thing is giant triangles. Piet is one of the competitive decks right now. It's really mindset on how you sit down. Like, am I going to sit down with this game and my objective is to win as fast as possible, as efficiently as possible? Or is it to sit down and have fun with my opponent and just banter and talk and shoot the shit? Like, yeah, you can sit down and you can be competitive and try and win, but you can play the game and have fun with it. And I think the aspect of my main goal is to have fun here, whether I win or lose. Even if I am playing a competitive deck, I'm not playing it competitively. So I think that that's really the point I'm trying to make, I guess, is that there is playing a competitive deck and then there is playing competitively. You can play your Jedi deck competitively, even if the deck itself cannot compete with the Han Solos and the Jangos before he was banned.
Sure.
I think that one of the key differences to me between competitive and casual play is investment. Uh, if you're playing this game competitively, it's going to cost you more money. That's it.
Sure, absolutely.
That's it. So prepare yourself, um, and budget accordingly, or don't. Um, uh, and then on the casual side of things, uh, I think my favorite thing right now has been the Escalation League, which is just a limited format of every week we get a pack. You open the pack, and if there are cards to help you construct a deck, then you use them or not. Um, uh, for example, my son started with Boba and built a 30 card deck just with Boba, and he really started out with he had an amazing start. In his 30 card Boba deck, he had three TIE bombers and two of the 5 cost Mandalorian pilot. And so every time I walked by the table, it was just it was this TIE bomber with the Mandalorian crushing everyone. It was so funny. Oh my God. And
That
then
combo is rough.
it is rough. But my son being who he is, he saw me kicking ass with Vader, and so he wanted to play Vader too. So,
Dad's doing it, which means I want to do it.
and the irony is that the tools that he has for Boba makes his deck the best in the field, really. I mean it. Like he has everything he needs to basically, from a limited format, reconstruct almost nearly reconstruct the Spotlight Boba deck, which out of the box is not horrible. Um, so yeah, I would play his deck if I could, but I can't. So I'm working on my Vader deck. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think we have 2 more weeks in the league. One more week of testing, and then next week we'll do our little tournament, and we'll draft a Carbonite pack, and that'll be amazing. So that's the casual that I'm enjoying right now, and I love the most.
So maybe the goal or the key is to play like you're a kid and just have fun. Like I'll play the thing. It's cool. Like I'm just playing the thing that's super fun to me. And the thing that's super fun can be different for everybody. I also I want to I do want to interject one other thing. Like it is possible to have fun and be competitive. And I think that's really important for people that don't get to play often or are really trying to learn to be better. I do think that you can sit down and say, I'm really trying to learn how to play this game in a better way. And I want to learn, and that's why I am playing today. And yes, I'm playing this meta deck. And really have that conversation, especially if you're sitting down across from somebody that knows what they're doing really well. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about this game. Like, we don't have to, well, is this the right play? But like, I'm gonna play it out, and then if you see something that is like, oh, dude, let's talk about what you just did. I wanna actually have this conversation. Like, if you're in that community that you're talking about that's so great, let's have those conversations. Let's play to improve. And I think that that's okay too. And it kind of breaks the casual versus competitive, but I think that it's worth saying that some people just like I don't get to play enough to be casual, but I do want to learn to be better, and I'm going to come at it with the I want to learn to be better, not to be competitive. I'm not here fine-tuning my deck with a fine-tooth comb because I just can't do that. But
Mhm.
I want to learn to play a better game.
Yeah, and how would you go about doing that?
I'd sit down and say, yeah, I am playing something that I think is a little bit more meta, but I don't get to play this enough. Like, if you're willing, let's have a conversation as we're playing this game. And if they're not willing to have the conversation, then that's up to them as well. I'm still gonna play. I'm gonna be a nice player. I'm gonna be a great player. But I'm not. And if I win, I'm gonna be gracious. Like, thank you for the game. I really appreciate it.
I think I think it's better than okay to have this goal. I think it is a laudable goal to have, especially if you have an established play group. Like if you're going to the same FLGS friendly local game store and you are seeing the same couple, 5, 10, whatever people week after week, dude, these are your people and you should absolutely be having a conversation with them while you're playing. It enhances the enjoyment for everyone. And if someone is consistently spanking you, pay attention. There's a reason for that. Either A, your deck is no good, maybe, or B, maybe they're just mechanically more sound than you are. They understand the tempo and the pacing better. They understand when, as a look at the board conditions, is now a good time to deploy my leader. What did they just play in this last cycle? There's lots of things that go into a game and the psychology behind the decision making. And so if you're trying to learn to be better, I don't know whom here has done martial arts, but being a good partner in practice is like one of the key fundamental parts. And being a good partner in all aspects of life requires communication. I think I think that not enough people communicate. And it's not that hard. I know it may seem that way if you're not used to doing it, but simple of, hey, I'm trying this out. If you see something weird or if you see me do something crazy, or if you have thoughts for me, if you could give them, I'd appreciate it. Thanks, man. Not mulligans or do-overs, but just, hey, you know what, for next time, if you had done your actions in this opposite order, you would have gotten a much greater magnitude because of these synergies. Oh, cool, thanks.
So you say that if you go to the same game shop over and over again and you're seeing the same people, I also think that's okay to show up to a shop you've never been to and be like, "Hey, I'm a new player. I've played a few games. If you're down, like, can we talk about this game as we're playing through it?" Like it is
For sure.
harder to have those conversations because
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
talking to complete strangers, you don't know anybody else around. But it is, I think, okay to say these things. Like, I'm new. I want to learn. Can you help me? Can we have this conversation? And if your opponent says, no, I'm not a great teacher, or no, I don't really feel comfortable with that, that's okay.
On
But
the
I
other
think it's
hand,
also okay to ask.
oh, I would say it's better than okay to ask. I would say it's laudable to ask. And honing that skill of opening a conversation with someone is something that you're going to need in every aspect of your life going forward. And I'm saying this because one, young people play this game. Gideon is much younger than all of us. And two, nerds have a reputation, rightly or wrongly, for perhaps being a little socially inept. So,
Don't know what
practicing
you're talking about.
pro-social skills.
Don't know what you're talking about at all.
I don't
Shut up.
always word good either.
Words is hard. Many of them is long.
Long word.
Many of them is long. All right.
What's next on the docket, you beautiful bastards?
I want to talk about a trading experience I had.
Huh? Huh?
Um, so on Monday, this was a trial run for Gideon and I, and it was actually Gideon's suggestion. A few weeks back, he came to me and he said, Dad, could I join you for the Escalation League? And I said, yes, but that means we're not going to play Twin Suns on Mondays because I have had I've had a day for myself to play Marvel Champions and a day, I'm sorry, a day for him and I to play Twin Suns and a day for myself to play the Escalation League or the tournament, whatever they're doing um, at Red Castle. And when the Escalation League started, he wanted to join. And I said, okay, well, that means we're going to take a break from Twin Suns and I'm going to go back to playing Marvel Champions on Mondays. So that worked out fine. And he came to me and he's like, is there any reason why I can't play Twin Suns while you're playing Marvel Champions? And I thought, no, no. I mean, I guess I have to ask myself if I want you there. And he's like, well, do you not want me there? And I was like, well, I really enjoy spending time with just my friends, but I don't think I'd mind if you were there. And he was like, well, then can I come? And I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. So this was our debut. Monday, I go to play Marvel Champions. It's a scenario. We're doing the Sinister Motives scenario. I'm playing Miles Morales. Uh, everybody's on board. We did random heroes, so it's a challenge. And Gideon went to play Twin Suns. But before we got the evening started, I got a bank error in your favor check from Oregon, and I was like, well, I'm gonna splurge a little on me, and I went and grabbed some packs, and they have a deal at the store. You buy 5 packs, you get one free. So I got one Carbonite and 4 regular packs and got a free pack. We cracked the packs, got a bunch of cool stuff. Um, Out of the Carbonite, we got a foil Prestige Gold Leader. That card is gorgeous, by the way. Wow. And I was immediately excited. Gideon was immediately excited because weeks prior, from a draft pool of prizes, I passed up a foil gold leader that Gideon wanted me to get. So this was serendipity. Uh, yeah, exactly. And we put the cards away, or so I thought. And I resume, or I go to play Marvel Champions, and Gideon goes about 30 feet from me to start playing Twin Suns. Everything's going great. Uh, we're there about we're there about 45 minutes longer than I wanted to be, if I'm being honest. Um, but I finished my game of Marvel Champions, and Gideon walks up to me with two new cards. He's got a Rampart with the Carbonite finish and a Hyperspace Profundity. And the Rampart's a rare and has a very niche ability, which makes its value mediocre. Uh, Profundity is a few dollars. It's not a very expensive card for being a legendary. And I asked him, where did you get these cards? He was like, oh, I traded for them. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, what did you trade for them? He was like, oh, I traded the foil Poe Dameron from the Pop Tart pack and the foil Gold Leader that we got. And I was like, oh, okay. So I walked over to where he was completing the Poe Dameron trade, and uh, the person sitting there was like, oh, well, I'm okay with it if you're okay with it. And I was like, hmm. I asked Gideon where the person went who traded for the gold leader, and I guess they had left, which makes sense. At the end of the day, I did not give my son boundaries about trading.
Mm.
And so therefore nothing terrible happened. Nobody was hurt in the exchange. And the value actually is relatively close. Like I saw foil gold leaders going for $15 at the top end and as low as 4 at the low. So it really is all over the map. And the profundity, like I said, is a couple dollars. But I feel like my son was taken advantage of in that trade. And I'm not happy about it. I don't think I'm going to pursue anything. Instead, I had a conversation with Gideon where I said, I'm happy that you are happy with your trade experience. In the future, when we open packs at the store, would you please talk to me before you commit to trades, before you make trades? And he was like, is everything okay? I'm like, yep. I just want to know what's being traded before it happens. And he was like, okay. So that's just gonna have to be good enough.
Yeah.
So that's
I
that just to put the cap on it. That's the first time I've had, I wouldn't say a negative experience in the game, but it was an uncomfortable experience for me. And mostly I just don't want to overreact. So I'm not
Yeah.
angry. I'm just a little uncomfortable with how it went down. But
Yeah.
I take responsibility for that because again, I did not give my offspring boundaries. So note to parents, communicate with your children about the boundaries of what is acceptable behavior in all theaters.
I had a semi-related experience when I did my sealed event for JTL. Uh, there was a family, it was a dad and a teenage son and a younger teenage son. And so, I mean, like 11 and 13, if I had to make a guess. And the 13-year-old was obnoxious as fuck. Like, walking around and asking people if they had prestiges to trade or legendary, like every person. Hey, do you have a legendary? Do you have any legendaries you want to trade? Do you, um, And so I decided to ignore this young person because I found them hyper obnoxious. And at one point, like, it's literally a break between rounds. My deck is in front of me and I'm messing with my sideboard and I'm reconstructing it and I'm doing this. Like, I am very obviously involved in a thing, and I hear him talking near me. But I've been ignoring this kid and I didn't get matched with him for any matches. And he's saying, "Hey, do you have anything you want to trade?" And I'm ignoring him because why the fuck would he be talking to someone who's very obviously engaged in an activity?
Hmm.
And someone reaches over and gently taps my hand. They're like, "Hey," and I look up and he's talking to me. And so my point is simply to say that some parents are absolutely fine with letting their child just run rampant through an event and just be obnoxious and disruptive and give them agency over doing whatever the hell they want. And and I don't know. I mean, I've got two adult children of my own. I'm really bad at nailing ages on children. Like, if I didn't know who Gideon was and how old he was, I don't know what age I would put on him. Probably 10 or 11, maybe higher. And so it's hard to say. But on the other hand, as a parent, my first instinct when interacting with a child is, where is your grown up? Where is your adult human supervisor? Because I don't want to do, I certainly don't want to be doing anything related to a monetary interaction without that person's adult human supervisor around.
I definitely agree with you, and I'm going to come down on it is the parent of the child's job to dictate what their boundaries are. And PJ's already said that you didn't dictate what those boundaries are, and like you claim that. That's perfectly acceptable. Um, I know for myself, if I had a child come up to me that had something that I was interested in trading, is like, I have this card. Do you have anything? I would probably ask the child, like, I'm interested in that. Do you have a parent around that that can authenticate or that is giving you permission to do this? Because especially if it's something of any decent value, I even $5, I know parents that would be angry. Like, I don't want to deal with that. That's not worth my time.
Mm.
Now, in PJ's case, the person that did that trade skedaddled really, really fast. I, like, whatever. And as we've said a couple times in this podcast, people that tend to play games are not necessarily socially the most um, with it. So maybe this person thought that and knew or felt like he was taking advantage and was okay with that and is socially okay with that, but knows that it's not necessarily appropriate. And in Robert's case, we have this child who's very clearly not socially, you know,
Not
with the rules.
socialized enough.
Right. So we have two sides of the coin where somebody's just taking advantage of somebody and then somebody doesn't appreciate the rules and the social niceties. And that is something that we have to watch our own for. I'm never going to rely on the other person to do. So if I'm at a shop and I have my granddaughter with me, I'll protect her and I will watch her. And if we were to go and do something where she was interested in trading, I would make sure that she has the sign off to do that trade. I'm a super easy trader. Like,
Well,
I have something that I don't want, you have something that I do want, and the monetary value isn't equal and it's in your favor. I don't give a shit as long as it's not like $100 difference. Like, if it's a couple dollars difference, who gives a shit? It's a trading. Like,
and I want to be, yes, I 100%, it's trading, right? And I don't expect him to understand the value of one card versus another. And again, at the end of the day, he got what he wanted. Okay. And I didn't communicate boundaries. It definitely could have been worse. And if I, to steel man the position of the person who made the adult who facilitated the trade with the 9-year-old, he had more valuable things that he could have taken him for granted for, or taken advantage of him for. Gideon was playing with his Poe Dameron showcase. So, but it occurred to me after he traded the gold leader, I was like, oh, that could have been the showcase.
Alright, that's his favorite card.
But Poe is his favorite card right now, so I'm certain that
You think it's safe?
he'd be like, nah, nah, you're not right, sir.
I do want to put a caveat on everything that I did say. I do think that it is important for children to learn the aspect of trading. And if Gideon had another 9-year-old that was there and they were doing trades, I think that's a worthwhile experience, even if there is a mistake that an adult would say that's a mistake. Like, okay, you clearly traded a very large value card for a not valuable card. I think that the interaction between those that are the same age is valuable. Now you can like, hey, that Poe Dameron that's the showcase is not eligible for trade under any circumstances, but other cards, like your two 9-year-olds, your kids doing the thing. I think that that's a good socialization aspect. I
And
remember Robert and I trading Magic cards back in the day. Who knows what the fuck anything was worth?
and
I
actually,
just wanted all the goddamn walls. Give me the walls.
well, I actually am interested in building a Giono deck. Uh, so I actually want that Rampart that he traded for. So it wasn't like I didn't get something that I was curious about. I don't like the profundity. I like the profundity ship the art. I don't. I'm not. I'm not super big on its playability, just because of the pacing of the game currently.
Sideboard, I think I ended up with two ramparts out of my box. So if you need a third, if you don't have a playset and you need a playset, let me know.
I will let you know. I'm gonna put some more time into Boba, and if I'm disappointed in the results, which is hard to say, right? I actually I need to get past the escalation league so that I can put the deck together. I have 90% of the cards. I think I'm just missing a copy of Aggression, but I have everything else.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
Cocksucker has a super fancy version.
that's the version that Gideon traded for. Um, no, that card I think has a place in that Giona build, or I at least want to try it out. So yeah, when the time comes. So FFG was live today with their Wacky Wednesday. I think that's what they call it. Now I don't remember. Um, th what they do, I don't know if they do this every week, but I caught last week's live for a game of Twin Suns, and they do. I can't remember their names. I'm sorry. I will eventually, maybe. I don't know. Um,
I doubt it.
Yeah, we'll see. So the designers get together, they play a game of Twin Suns, and it was entertaining just to kind of observe a game that I wasn't playing. And this week's was unique. Um, they played an alternate format of Twin Suns, uh, and it reminded me of playing Turncoat Warlord back in the day, where you would take a warlord from any faction and play it with a completely different faction. A Deveranian warlord with elves, or an elf warlord with Nothrog. You get the idea. But
No.
this is different. Instead of playing with two leaders that share villainy or heroism aspects. They played with two leaders with different aspects, different alignment. So, for example, Rey Kylo, Mace Jango, Luke Vader, etc. Uh,
So does that open up both aspects in your deck building too?
yes, yes, it does. And they played a very interesting game. I love the idea of I love this idea of an alternate format around the alternate format of Twin Suns. I don't. They didn't have a name for it. Um, I am anecdotally calling it Turncoat because it just makes sense to me. So, to anyone listening, and to you, my brothers, and to FFG, I'm down. I think your Turncoat format is awesome sauce, and we should explore that and promote that because it sounds like enormous fun.
There's only one person listening. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
So yeah, that pretty much sums up my trading experience and all of that. Um, and I did not read any other news from FFG. There has been, I think, one or two didn't Sabine win a tournament recently?
Did tournament results?
So I have, no, I don't have it up. Why don't I have
I'm
that
pulling
up?
it up.
Oh, okay.
Do, 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 do. So Poe actually won in an 18 person, so for what that's worth. Sabine did win an 84 person in France.
That's what we're talking about.
The store showdown, so it's not a big event.
84 people for a local? That's a lot. Like, that's a lot, right?
It seems like a pretty decent amount.
For a showdown, I think we were at max capacity at Red Castle, and I think they top out at 32 or 36.
Yeah, but
I
Red
don't I
Castle
don't think
isn't
there's
that big.
84 seats in that entire place.
Of course, I'm just saying the game maxed out. Like more people would have played if they could have played, is my point.
Sure, sure.
If like how many if Guardian was to open up its all of its table, like how many people does Guardian get for a Magic tournament?
For like in,
Like they just had a Magic just had an expansion release.
Guardian could seat 100.
yeah, I think Guardian on average gets 50 plus a week.
Yeah, if they needed to max out all of their space and they had access to the bar area, they could comfortably seat 100.
So, and although Guardian is a large store,
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, awesome.
and if I remember correctly, there isn't anything bigger than a store showdown for a couple more weeks.
Go back.
Probably.
Will you bring back up
Oh,
the spread of the top eight?
Don't do it. Don't give him what he wants.
Give me what I want.
Crush his heart.
My heart is already crushed.
Look, I have a boo
what
boo.
do you want? The meta?
Sorry. Kiss it
There
better.
we go. Thank you.
But I hit share. I didn't hit share. Nope, that's not what I want to share.
Do you know what the hell you're doing? Who put
No,
this man in charge? Mom,
you
Chris is
did.
fucking it up again.
There we go.
Yeah, so it's as you said before, Tangent,
A lot of yellow.
it's a lot of yellow and it's a Twilight meta. But it is still refreshing to see as much as I don't like Sabine. I mean, I love
There,
Sabine. I'm just over that. I'm over that. It seems it seems like such an entry level deck, but it's entry level and it's competitive at the same time.
worst thing ever. I mean, there's I don't know if that I don't know what that says about the design language of the game if a deck that's relatively easy to pilot is so strong, right? Hmm.
Now, should there be something that's fairly easy to pilot and pretty strong?
Yes.
Sure.
Sure,
Yes.
but I don't think that it should be that strong. I will agree. Like it should be competitive, but not like represented that strongly, because otherwise we have issues with people being inventive and people playing those more fun, more interesting, more out there decks and actually able to do well with them.
Yeah.
What's the point of this thing, which is super easy to play and requires much less psychological work?
And yellow is dominant because it's outright denial. Like
Yellow is a bit overtuned.
there is nothing worse like or currently for myself, so I'll speak for myself. There's nothing there's no worse a feeling currently in the game than putting a pilot on a unit and it getting waylaid or some other way put back into your hand. It is such a groaner. Ugh.
Because two actions gone. Two.
Yeah, and the game's pretty
That
much over. Like
yeah.
I played it enough to see like, oh, I've lost already. I've lost on playing the pilot and in many cases if I see a yellow base or a yellow tag, aspect tag at all, I will try to go wide. I will not. I will not Voltron up. And
And
even
that was, and I think that was part of the point of JTL was they were hoping for a lot of Voltroning. They were hoping for these awesome, cool, big spaceships. Cool, great, but there's so there's so many ways to just say no. And if it's not in yellow, then it's in blue. And the answer is just no. I just defeat your card. Oh, you've got Chewbacca on it? No glory, only results.
well even in villainy, right? You have what's that three cost? It's a three cost card where you sacrifice a unit.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah. I don't remember either. But
Um, each person picks a unit they control and defeats it.
Merciless contest.
Yes.
Yes. And what's great about this card is you don't it doesn't require you to have a unit.
No, if I don't have a unit, I don't. And if you have one unit,
which I think is bullshit, but that's my opinion on game design. Uh, I would like to return you guys to one of like the first or the second podcast where I said I don't like pilots. I think that they're bad because of this reason. And a certain bald person said that I was wrong. Um, hey,
you're
look,
not wrong.
Uh,
hey, look,
so
they're bad because
hold
there's
on.
too much removal and
Okay.
there's too many answers for the Voltron and kiss my ass.
I would say that we're both right in different directions because I've seen in yellow Han Solo. It is it is so unbelievably shocking how reliable you can put Han Solo on a Millennium Falcon. Why? Because there's three different versions of the Millennium Falcon.
You could have 9 different Millennium Falcons in your deck.
Yeah, which is super sexy and awesome.
Whoa!
And that new Han makes it dirty because it can attack bases.
So there's this one use case where a pilot's good. This one pilot on this one times three different versions ship, even if one of them isn't his ship
Hold on,
at that
TJ.
point,
I can
technically.
mute him.
I also see I also see a lot of Chewbacca. So like back to my original
Yeah,
point,
tons of
Yeah.
Chewie.
like what's changed, or you were correct that the value
was.
of pilots was greatly diminished by the level of removal in the meta. And I think I'm correct that the meta sorted out the pilots that are worth playing. The Han Solo's worth playing. I would make an argument for
Han and Chewie.
I would make an argument for Vader as well.
The I think the Anakin pilot is worthwhile in certain decks.
And
I
looks
like the shenanigans that you do with the Anakin pilot. Sorry, PJ.
oh,
I like those shenanigans. Those are super fun.
I 100% agree. I was gonna say the Luke Skywalker pilot is also useful because even if the unit is defeated, Skywalker comes into
Booster.
play.
Yep. Uh, Mechanically, the pilots generally are undercosted as an upgrade cost, right? So, like, I've got Chewie right here. So, for 3 cost, it's a 3/3 unit that cannot be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities. And I just put this on a ship. I would say that that's undercosted in a vacuum. But with everything else that's happening in the game, I don't know.
I think that Chewie's his ability. If he was
Yeah.
much
If he
less
didn't have
stats,
that, it
I
was,
think he would still be good. But he's what, 3-2, 3-3?
he's 3/3.
Yeah, 3-3 for 3 with fuck your removal. Yeah, that's amazing. The only thing you can do is steal me or kill me. Like ping me, kill me with damage.
Yeah.
Bam.
And I think some of the pilot cards are worthwhile as unit cards. So I've got Vader here. And at 6 cost, he's a 7/7 ground unit. Okay. And then as a pilot, he's 3 cost for +3/+3 on attack. You may deal 1 damage to a unit. If a unit was defeated this way, you may deal 1 damage to a unit or base.
Hmm.
So again, as an upgrade, I feel he's undercosted. But there's so much just I take this away from you, right? I don't have to defeat the pilot. All I have to do is defeat the unit.
And not just in events. It's there's built-in removal on units.
I think the pilots, in my opinion, that do a lot of work are the ones that allow for you to swing immediately because even with that Vader or even with Chewie, if
It's an
I can
extra.
do something because of the action economy, you play the pilot, it gives me a chance to respond. If I have a response, your 3 cost ship and your 3 cost pilot or whatever are are sat down, are destroyed, are whatever my response is, I just wasted a an action and how many resources.
Yeah.
And that's a hard sell. That's a really hard sell for me.
Yep. Fair.
Um, the one of the most annoying cards to get smacked with is the Cantina Bouncer because it's double yellow. It's such a rude card. It's a 5/3/5. When played, you may return a non-leader unit to its owner's hand. And next to him, there's Body Rook, who's a 3 cost double yellow for 3/3. When played, look at an opponent's hand and discard a non-unit card from it. Just these two cards existing together in the same spectrum is pretty damn rude. Granted, you do have to run double yellow to make them worth it.
Yellow is already overturned at the moment.
Right. And since yellow
You're
is so
starting.
overrepresented because it just has so many answers to everything. So
I
like
mean, yellow is
one of the
supposed to
point
be
go ahead.
a God. What is the theme for yellow? Blue is control. Yellow is
Cunning.
yeah.
It's control, but also I'll say shenanigan control.
Manip
It's about manipulation. Yeah.
manipulation.
But why does it have torpedo barrage in it?
You still have to
5
do damage
indirect
somehow.
damage.
You
Here,
do still have to do damage to the person somehow.
sure, that's what units are for. That's what units are for.
Not when
That's
there's so
what
much removal in the game.
like barrel roll is for, which is I think a great card. I think Barrel Roll is a really good, and like Asteroid Sanctuary or whatever. I think those are balanced yellow cards.
Yeah, uh if the mid game for yellow is devastating. It's really strong. It's really strong. Well, I think that pretty much does it, fellas, unless you got any more insights about the current meta. Um,
You're beautiful, and I love you.
I love you too.
I love you guys. I question the beautiful part. Just just
You
saying.
need to get. When's the last time you saw the optometrist?
About a month ago, actually. I do need to update my prescription. I need
There
less strength in one lens. Thank
See,
you.
there we go. See,
Thank
your
you.
eyes are all jacked up. That's why you don't see it.
And they're still better than the thing that I had to grab. For those that know, this thing has seizures, so if you ever see me have to go grab a dog, it's because she's having a seizure at my feet.
Poor
That's
baby.
not a dog.
It's not a dog. It really isn't.
It fits in the palm of my hand. It's not a dog.
No, she's too chunky to fit in the palm of your hand. All right. Good night, everybody.
Sweet
Thank you for
dreams,
joining
swooper
us.
friends.
Bye-bye.